Hello and welcome back to That Other Retro Guy and to this video where I'm going to be doing a video review of the latest Alien film. Yes, I've literally just got back from the cinema, just been to watch it. It's 119 minutes in length, and yes, this video will contain spoilers. So as soon as you see this image of a smiling pirate, you will know that there is a spoiler ahead. Unless, obviously, if you've seen the film, then carry on watching. If you haven't, I suggest stopping the video and going to watch the film. Or if you want to continue watching the watching the video and you haven't seen the film, then just be prepared for some major spoilers coming your way. As always, thank you very much for tuning in, and goodbye. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Well, basically, the whole plot point of Aliens, Alien Romulus, it was directed by Fede Alvarez, who directed the 2013 Evil Dead reboot, and I must admit, I thoroughly enjoyed that film. It took the original Evil Dead film, it took that blueprint, and pretty much ranked up the gore, ranked up the wincing moments of that film to a whole new level. And when I heard that he was going to be the director of the film, I think he wrote it as well, I wasn't apprehensive, I was quite looking forward to it. And then, as time's gone by, that hope that the film was going to be good it started to peter out a little bit, because there was no trailers coming out, there was no teasers coming out, there was no behind the scenes news or anything about the film until it was about 2-3 months ago. And that was when we started to get all the trailers, all the teaser trailers and whatnot. And I kind of, I don't know. Part of me still wanted it to be good because of the director. The other part of me was like, is this going to turn out like Prometheus, Covenant, and also Alien vs Predator 2, Requiem? Sorry. But before I get into the plot points, the story is that there's this young girl called Rain who basically wants to get off this mining colony called the Jackson Mining Colony. She's worked there for a good few years and hoped to earn her passage off the planet to go somewhere else. She's got an android brother who basically is kind of played as mentally deficient, kind of like that kind of person, which I thought was a good idea, very good idea. And basically she ends up going to her friends, and they basically turn and say, well, there's a way that we can get off this planet, and it means going to this ship that's in orbit, that's derelict, stealing their cryopods, jumping in and getting to the planet where they want to go. Your Vega 11 or Vega 11 or something, or 13, something like that anyway. And when they get up into space, they find that it's not a ship, but it's actually a space station that has been knocked out of orbit and is basically heading towards Planet Jackson's rings, like meteorite rings. But there's not only that, there's also another presence on board. Enough of the stupid eyebrow stuff. Anyway, but that is the whole plot in a nutshell. Where do I begin with it? Right, I'll tell you what. Let's begin with the good. Unfortunately, there is bad plot points, or bad points about the movie. I'm going to go over some of the positives. First of all, I do like that there is a nice amount of callbacks to the other films. And here is the plot spoiler. There is the spoiler pirate. Yeah, I do like that there's callbacks to the other films, like using the line "Get away from her, you bitch," and things like that. I mean, also the music as well. The music is a nice little callback. I think it's Benjamin Waldfrisch. He done the score, and he basically used some cues from the other films, like Aliens, Prometheus as well. Um, and yeah, it was some good callbacks. Um, I mean, there's all sorts of different things in there as well, and there's also some stuff from Alien Isolation as well. There's one part where they go past the emergency station, and it's the save point from Alien Isolation, which I thought was pretty cool. Some of the computer displays were reused from Alien, and even having the displays projected onto the helmets on the ship at the very beginning of the movie. Um, yeah, that was a nice little throwback to Alien, I found. And to be honest, it was in keeping with the whole thing. You know, I mean, it's set 20 years after Alien, and basically plot spoilers. Pirate. There's this ship, and they're basically tasked with finding the wreckage of the Nostromo, and they find the alien encased in a cocoon. It basically managed to cocoon itself to save it from the elements, to preserve it. So they took it back, they cut it open, and then it goes to the titles. But then you find out that the alien wakes up not in the best of moods, and basically is a little bit pissed, you know. So that's nice. I think that's a nice little nod to The Thing there. Um, and also you had there was a few other bits as well. They've even brought back digitally Ian Holm as well from the first Alien film, the late great Ian Holm, who died a few years ago and played Ash in the original Alien, and also played Bilbo Baggins in the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, as well as Napoleon in, I think it was it Time Bandits? I think it was either Time. Yes, it was. It was Time Bandits. Great character actor, and he's very, very, very sorely missed. Yeah, they brought him back digitally to play the android Rook, and they even managed to recreate his voice as well. I'm guessing using AI. I'm guessing they didn't use like audio files and just splice them all together. It sounded like it was AI, which I think is a nice little touch to bring him back. And yeah, it just captured the whole feel of Alien, which is another plus. Another plus, you know, when they're on board the ships, the corridors have that claustrophobic feel to them, you know, and all the technology was basically from 20 years later, you know, as it would have progressed, not significantly, but just enough. They got that right. They really did. Um, the look of some of the, as I say, the just the intricate details. You know, when you look at Alien, with like the wall panelings and all that, it was like it's kind of like fabric. You know, with like the white tubing kind of stuff. They got that spot on as well. It's like they went back, they looked at Alien, and they said, right, we need to recreate that. We need to recreate that. We need to recreate that. That works. That works for me. Um, yeah, it was. So I've still got little bits of popcorn in my mouth. That's the only thing I don't like about popcorn. Um, yeah, it was. As I say, there's some very good features about this film. Um, you know, as I say, you've still got that claustrophobic feel from the original Alien, which I feel was missing from a few of the later ones. Um, I mean, Aliens had it to a kind of degree. Alien 3 kind of had it with the tunnels that they're trying to block the alien in at the end. Um, Resurrection didn't have that claustrophobic feeling. It was just shit. Um, and yeah, and as I say, that was very good for me. That was very, very good for me. Another thing was that the CGI was very good in places as well, especially on the outside of the ship. Um, the whole look of the ship and the whole feel of the ship, even though it was CGI, it looked as though some of the effects were model work. But that's how it came across to me. I could be completely wrong. It could be all CG. I know that Fede Alvarez is a big advocate for practical effects where possible. Which to me adds an air of authenticity, realism to the whole thing. But yeah, if all the space special effects are in fact CG, it's done so well. It does look like model work. It just looks fantastic. But there's a downside to that one, and I'll get to that later. Yeah, as I said before, the music by Benjamin Wallfisch, or however you pronounce his name, wherever it's spelled, I do apologise if I've got it wrong. There's some nice little throwbacks, not only to Alien, using some of Goldsmith's score, but there was also some nice little throwbacks to Aliens as well, using some notes from his score, and also from Prometheus using Mark Strattenfield's score as well, especially for the nods to Prometheus as well, which there are a few, and one of the nods is part of the plot as well. Again, spoiler pirate. In the original Prometheus, they come across these vials of this liquid, which in turn prompts David to create, or try to create, the aliens between Prometheus and Covenant as well. It makes a reappearance here, but it's done in a different way. It actually explains that the crew of the Prometheus found the black liquid, which turned into the aliens, and they've managed to distill it back down into its basic form, done it synthetically, and done certain things so basically it can be used safely to try and herald in a new era of human kind of evolution kind of thing. But that comes to one of the bad points of the film, and I'll get back to that as well. Another thing that I really did like was some of the set pieces. The whole zero-G fight between Katie Spaulding's Rain and the aliens, when they disengage the zero-G on the Romulus Remus station. She's floating there, being held by her android brother. I think his name's Al or something. I can't remember his name. I know it's only a few hours ago, but so much has happened since then. He's holding on to her, and she's got this earlier version of the pulse rifle, which looks fucking good, I must admit. And it's got this nice little arm thing that basically comes out. You put your arm in it, and it locks to your arm, so you can basically, and it's got tracking as well, like firing tracking, which I think is very good. It's a very good idea. But yeah, as she's fighting the aliens like zero-G, all the acids swirling around and whatnot, and it's really awesome to see. But there's also other set pieces as well where they've it's like one of the characters to first get the facehugger on. They figure out that to get the facehugger off of this character before it can lay the embryo in her throat or in her chest, they freeze the tail with freezing stuff. I think it's liquid nitrogen, in a spray form, and basically sprays it enough so the tail can figure that release itself. They pull the facehugger off, and then they throw it, and basically I think they managed to hit it or something, and it kills it or something. That was pretty cool. But you also, when they pull the face hugger off, and you see the delivery tube come out of the throat, you can just about make out the fact that it manages to deliver the egg right at the last minute, the embryo at the last minute. And even the chest bursting effects, they look pretty awesome, and that was all practical effects. Again, Freddy Alvarez loves anything practical effect. That was just an awesome practical effect. All the alien was all practical effects and that, especially like being shot and stuff like that. It was pretty badass. It really, really was. And even the face huggers, because they had something like 15 or 20 face huggers, and yeah, there was parts where there was CG when there was a hell of a lot of them, and they were all like running after the characters and all that. But there's one bit where they have to go through this corridor or through this room, and there's a load of them, and they manage to figure out that basically the face huggers react to not only sound but also heat signatures. So they raise the temperature of this room so they can get through without being given a free hug, and that's a nice little addition to the lore of the alien. Nice little addition, I feel. But sadly, as with all positives, there has to be negatives, and there is a couple, not a lot, but there is a couple. The main one for me, and I'm going to use Alien vs Predator Requiem as an example of this, is basically including a pregnant woman for a plot device to use further on in the film. I can't stand it. I fucking hate it. I don't like to see pregnant women or kids hurt. Can't stand it whatsoever. Alien 3 is another matter altogether, because basically, because Newt is already dead, you don't really see them literally cut her open and all this, that and the other. It's all done through trickery and basically in close-ups of the face and stuff like that, and just seeing the implements, you don't actually see him cut open the body. So I'm okay with that. And also it's just to figure out what happened to her, you know, so that doesn't bother me. But as I say, including a pregnant woman as part of a plot device, or for the ending, let's just say, I can't get on board with that. And it goes back to Alien vs Predator Requiem. There's a scene, I think it's either in the Extreme Edition or it might even be in both the theatrical and the Extreme Edition, where the Predalien goes into a maternity ward in a hospital, grabs a hold of about 4 different women, and basically, it's also a face hugger as well. It puts loads of embryos into the body of the pregnant women, so it kills the child. I can't get on board with that. That just grosses me out, even saying about it. I can't stand it. That's just, fucking hate it. Fucking hate it with a passion. And it's the same with this as well. There's a bit in the beginning of the film where I think they're just coming out of the atmosphere of Jackson, and one of the characters runs to the toilet, and the main character holds her hair back, and basically she says, "I'm pregnant." And as soon as you say that, you think, "Oh, for fuck's sake, really?" And you can tell it's going to be used later on. Just why, I don't know. Just fucking why? Why not? And this is another thing as well. Part of the plot is basically Ian Holmes' character, Rook, has basically said that he will help them get back to the ship if they carry a container of these injectors with this synthesized funky liquid. Now, they agree because it all boils down to they needed the science officers input to open the door to like a cryo chamber so they can get fuel for the cryopods. Hence why it unleashes all the face huggers and shit. And basically, when they put the chip in Rain's android brother, it basically updates his software, and he basically gets a new directive. It's basically look out for the interests of the company. And basically, one of the interests of the company is to make sure that this injector liquid is delivered to Jackson so it can be further tested for, you know, all this, that, and the other. And there's also a video of a rat being fake squashed and then brought back to life with this liquid. But then no sooner is it been brought back to life, it starts to mutate and it basically dies. And what happens is the girl who's pregnant, she's in the ship. The alien bursts out of the first character's chest and basically begins a new cycle. It basically goes and cocoons itself into an egg to grow, which I thought was a pretty interesting idea. But then when it comes out of this egg, obviously there's this other kid who's got this prod, and he starts trying to kill it with the prod. It ends up burning. It stabs him in the face. He ends up screaming, and all this acid comes out and starts burning him and killing him, and that, which I thought was pretty cool and gross, but pretty cool. So basically, it all comes down to this chase with this pregnant woman and this alien. Basically, she needs to get off the shuttle that they've taken and get on board the main station. But because of the android's programming, he won't let her on board, because otherwise the rest of them will die. So then the alien stabs her and takes her away to be implanted. Then when they they meet up with her later on, she's not been implanted because she's been wounded too much. So they free her, and they try to, you know, take her back to the shuttle to blast off and all that. But then, I think it's Ian Holmes says, the only way to save her is to inject her with the stuff. Right? Because it's supposed to aid healing and that. However, very big however, Rain turns around and says, I don't trust it. Don't do it. Stop it. Don't do it whatsoever. So they don't. So basically they end up trying to get back to the ship. She manages to crawl her way back, and she ends up injecting herself with this stuff anyway. So at the end of the film, they put her, well, near enough the end of the film, they put her in this cryo tube so that basically they can help her later on. And there's a malfunction. And what happens is the cryo tube comes open, her belly's full term. The stuff has infected the baby and turned it into this kind of thing. It's an end. It's an end that didn't really need to be there whatsoever. It really didn't. It turned the baby into like a kind of alien engineer kind of human hybrid of the whole three. It was very weird, and it took me out of the movie. And also as well, it done something to the kid which I don't like. I can't stand whatsoever. And basically, she tries to take this egg to try and eject it off the ship, and it ends up, as it's hatching, all this acid's coming out, and it burns through the hole and goes into all this down the other. And it leads me on to another point as well, right? That once it's hatched, it goes back to the girl who was pregnant, and it attaches something to her neck and kills her. But it doesn't show you how it kills her. You don't know if it drains her blood, if it's just filling her full of embryos. It's never explained. The only thing I can surmise is that it's drinking her blood. That's the only way to describe it. And the thing is, as well, as I say, it brings me on to the next bad point is that the ending is too much like Alien. Basically, she's been chased around the ship. She gets into a spacesuit, and she has the idea of blasting the thing out into space. But this time, she has to try and trap it in the cargo hold, eject it so that it goes into the rings and disintegrates at that. That to me, it was just too much like Alien. It should have ended when they put the girl in cryo sleep. The pregnant girl. They could have had her as still pregnant. They could have done a thing where, you know, basically she was stabbed so far up that it didn't harm the baby or something, or just not right in there at all. Just basically do it where, I don't know, she's found alive before implantation. She's taken back to the ship. She's put in cryostasis. And she's fine. Have another woman survivor. It was just too much like Alien. And as I say, with that ending, it was just too much. I don't know. It was just the fact of using a pregnant woman. The ending did not work for me at all. It was a spectacle. Don't get me wrong. It was a spectacle. And then as soon as all the things of Alien happened, I was like, yeah, of course, yeah. Why they couldn't have wrote a different ending, I don't know. As I say, have her not pregnant, have her just stabbed, and then, you know, imprisoned in like the cocoon in the station and whatnot, and then they save her. Why can't they do that? I don't know. But the last bad I can take away from it. It's great that they brought Ian Holm back through CGI, but the CGI was so bad. I mean, they tried to make it as lifelike as possible, or they tried to use AI to put his face on top of another actor's or something, but it didn't work. It just didn't work. It looked too fake for me. Obviously, when he's on the comm system and he's talking to him over the comm and they can see him through the screen, it masks how bad it is. Like all the video effects, it masks how bad it is. But when you see it and the characters are actually talking to him face to face, it's bad. It's very, very bad. I mean, yeah, it's nice they brought him back, but they could have just done something completely different. If they had to have an android, they could have actually done a prosthetic of Ian Holm's face, stuck it on a dead android, and just had the camera just pan over it. So it's like, right, okay, that's another version of Ash. He's completely and utterly gone. You know. And as I say, the voice, it didn't sound right. The voice of Ian Holm did not sound right at all. As I say, either they used AI, or what, I don't know. But for me, the voice didn't work either. And have him as the kind of bad guy again, it was, for me, it was retreading old ground. You know, I mean, it was nice to see him back, don't get me wrong. But the way they wrote it just did not work for me at all. You know. There's one other thing I forgot to say about is the direction. The direction was actually handled very, very well. There was no kind of dodgy acting at all. No dodgy accents. It was very competent, just as Evil Dead was. It actually made the film a lot better for me. You know, the performances were very believable. And to be honest, bar the one thing about, you know, taking the girl with the embryo in her back onto the ship and basically just departing early, leaving the others on board the station. That was the only kind of Well, I suppose it isn't really a dumb thing that a character would do. I suppose if someone was actually faced in that kind of situation, you know, you wouldn't know what's going to happen. And as far as anyone knows or knew, she wasn't really infected, apart from the android who said that she did have something in her. But they obviously didn't believe him because one of the characters was prejudiced against androids, and it was because his parents were trapped in a mine or something, and the androids on the planet, they shut the door to save dozens, you know, by sacrificing Tariq, that kind of thing. You know, the characters like drives, you know, it. I suppose in some ways it would be believable because you wouldn't know how to react in that kind of situation. You know, as far as you're aware, the android's lying. The person's all right. Fuck it, we're going to get the hell out of here. You know, so I suppose that person's only thinking rationally. You know, or their mind's going a mile a minute, and the only thing they can think about is surviving, just getting the hell out of there. You know. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really see no dumb actions from any of the characters, you know. But yeah, as I say, solid 6.75 out of 10 for me. Maybe a 7 at the very most. But yeah, anyway, that's it for this video review of Alien Romulus. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have a different outlook to the film, or if you enjoyed it a lot more, please let me know in the comments what you thought. And you know, but all I ask is that basically just keep the comments respectable. You know, if you disagree with someone, please don't shout them down. Just basically say, I disagree with what you're saying because of this, this, and this. But please just respect each other in the comments. You know, there's a lot of bad shit going on in the world. You know, so I would really like the comments kept respectable. You know, and just kind of please get along with each other. That's all I'm asking. But until the next video, thank you very much for watching. Take care, look after yourselves, and goodbye from another retro guy. Take care.